Hello class, good day. I hope you're all well. Welcome to our lecture 2, or part 2 of our uh, discussion regarding the Earth as an integrated and complex system. So today we will talk about the atmosphere. Now let me present to you my slides. I hope we all learned today. Okay, so part 2 of our module 1. We are to meet the following objectives. Describe the components and layers of the atmosphere, explain the mechanisms of heat transfer, which has been already discussed in your chemistry, engineering chemistry, and then explain a crucial or vital part of the atmosphere, the greenhouse gases and the greenhouse effect. Okay, so classification. The atmosphere is a mixture of gases that surrounds the planet. So mainly the nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and other gases are all parts of this mixture. Gases that can be added to and be removed from the atmosphere through living organisms. So we humans release carbon dioxide, we inhale oxygen, we release carbon dioxide. The atmosphere actually has an interrelationship with the geosphere, of course. Uh, Volcanic eruptions, as we mentioned in the first lecture, also add gases to the atmosphere, while vehicles both add and remove gas. Atmosphere also insulates the Earth, and the insulation slows the rate at which the Earth's surface loses heat and keeps the Earth's temperature at which living things can survive. So it helps the atmosphere regulate also the climate and help us to moderate the weather, the temperature. Composition of the atmosphere. Majority of the Earth's atmosphere nabubulil pa, is made up of nitrogen. Oxygen is the second most abundant and is primarily produced by plants. So remember their plants. Their carbon dioxide converted into oxygen. Okay. In addition to gases, the atmosphere contains many of tiny solid particles or atmospheric gas. Again, because air is a fluid. Okay. Combination of mixtures. In addition to nitrogen and oxygen, other gases such as argon, CO2, methane, and water vapor make up the rest of the atmosphere. So in this diagram, we can visualize the classification. The air pressure or the Earth's atmosphere is pulled toward the Earth's surface by gravity, and as a result, the atmosphere is denser near the Earth's surface. Air also becomes less dense with elevation, so breathing at higher elevation is more difficult. So, sa mga umakit ng bundok, di ba, yun ang na-experience natin. Hindi lang porket pagod ka, because breathing at higher elevation is harder, okay? Less dense. Layers. Now, let's talk about the layers of the atmosphere. The troposphere, the stratosphere, the mesosphere, and the thermosphere. Now, what is the troposphere? Basically, the lowest layer of the atmosphere in which temperature drops at a constant rate as altitude increases. So, di ba sa Mount Fuji, sa Mount Everest, matataas ang elevated areas, thus nagyayelo, di ba? Nagyayelo doon. This is the part where the atmosphere where weather conditions exist. The troposphere, Earth's densest atmospheric layer, and extends to 18 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Now, the stratosphere, the layer that the of atmosphere that lies immediately above the troposphere and extends 18 to 50 kilometers above the Earth's surface. The temperature rises as altitude increases because ozone in the stratosphere absorbs the UV rays and warms the air. Now, the ozone is a gas molecule that is made up of three oxygen. So it is also considered a part of your stratosphere, the ozone layer. So ito yung minipes class. Because of the ozone layer absorbs UVR, ultraviolet radiation. It reduces the amount of harmful UV radiation that reaches the Earth. UV radiation that does reach Earth can damage living cells. So, di ba may mga studies that UV rays can cause cancer. Almost all of the ozone in the atmosphere is concentrated in the stratosphere. Now, the mesosphere is the layer above strato and above the stratosphere. Extends an altitude about 80 kilometers. This is actually classed the mesosphere is the coldest layer. Okay, the coldest layer. Which is temperature as low as negative 93 degrees Celsius. And this is the one wait a minute. Hmm. This is the layer class that protects us from meteorites. Okay? Kaya tingnan niyo yung diagram natin. So yung lamig counteracts the meteorites. Okay. Next, the thermosphere essentially located the farthest from the Earth's surface, the thermosphere. Nitrogen and oxygen here absorb solar radiation. But in the air in the thermosphere is so thin that air particles rarely collide. So little heat is transferred and it would therefore not feel hot to us. Nitrogen and oxygen absorb solar radiation, resulting in temperatures measuring above 2000 degrees Celsius. The absorption of gamma rays, X rays and gamma rays by nitrogen and oxygen causes atoms to be electrically charged, and the electrically charged atoms called ions, and the lower thermosphere is called ionosphere. Now, let's talk about the energy transfer in the atmosphere. So ito yung three processes that you should remember. Radiation, the amount of energy from the sun, the energy that is transferred as electromagnetic waves such as visible light and infrared waves. Conduction, the transfer of heat through a material. And finally, your convection, the movement of matter due to differences of density that are caused by temperature variations. So, the concept of warm air rises class. So, pag ano, di ba? Pag umuutot. Sorry for the example, pero yun ang pinaka-naisip ko. Nagdi-disperse yung hangin, di ba, sa buong room. Kasi may mga mahilig umutot dyan. Energy transfer in the atmosphere. So, complete, no? Complete diagram illustrating the three processes. Now, the warming of the atmosphere, the solar energy reaches Earth as electromagnetic radiation, as we said earlier, from UVR, ultraviolet rays. About half of the solar energy that enters the atmosphere passes through it and reaches the Earth's surface, while the rest of the energy is absorbed or reflected in the atmosphere by clouds, and gases and dust and reflected by the Earth's surface primarily by the ocean. Okay? So this one, Earth that does not continue to get warmer because of the oceans and land radiate to absorb energy back into the atmosphere. So that's why it's very, our Earth is um, designed well, di ba, by an intelligent creator. A creator with an infinite intelligence. Dark color objects absorb more solar radiation. That's why I don't wear black shirt. Yes, I don't wear black shirt. Gusto ko yung malamig sa mata. Malamig. So may scientific ano pala explanation bakit laging nakaputing t-shirt si Sir Bogart. So malamig. Chill lang, chill. This is one reason also that the temperature in cities is higher than that of your rural side, di ba? Temperature in your countryside. Built up areas, di ba? Absorbing energy kaya mainit. Now, the movement of energy in the atmosphere. Basically, as current of air warmed by Earth's surface rises into the atmosphere, it begins to cool and dense. And ano, di ba, nagpo-form na, pag may kasamang water vapor, condenses and form clouds. Okay? The continual process of warm air rising is called the convection current. Okay? Now, let's talk about the greenhouse effect. What is essentially the greenhouse effect is the warming of the surface of the lower atmosphere of the Earth that occurs when the mixture of gases in the air absorb and radiate infrared radiation. Okay? So somehow the greenhouse effect is needed. Why? Without the greenhouse effect, Earth would be too cold for life. So, di ba may ginagawang practice to sa mga vegetation. So, tinatrap yung mga green radiation ng araw para sa photosynthesis, para sa mga halaman. The same thing with the Earth. Pag wala tayong greenhouse effect, maninigas. Parang ano, snowpiercer, di ba? Sobrang lamig. So, concept of greenhouse gas is like this, no? A car illustration that the sunlight passes through the car and the radiant energy, the ultraviolet radiation is transformed. Nag-transform yung energy into heat. The glass in the car stops or most of the heat from escaping, increasing the temperature inside the car. Okay, so a basic explanation of the greenhouse effect. Now, finally, the greenhouse effect is the gas in the atmosphere that trap and radiate heat are called the greenhouse gases. The most abundant are the following: water vapor, CO2, methane, nitrous oxide, which are essentially can be found in your factories, class, di ba? In mga farms, mga methane sa mga baka, sa mga baboy. So the quantities of carbon dioxide and methane in the atmosphere vary considerably as a result of your industrial and natural processes. Okay, so in summary, for our review question, again, you have to assess yourself how did you connect the dots in this lecture material? How are you going to assess your measured knowledge? Again, class, accountability to numbers, you should be able to answer these questions properly. In order for you to say, may natutunan ako, Sir Bogart. Okay? So that will be it for part 2 of our lecture 2 for disaster science. I hope you all learned something regarding the atmosphere today. God bless you all, class, and have a good day. Thank you. Ingat kayo palagi.